Hello, everyone, and welcome to our ninth session today. By popular demand, this session is going to be different. A full activity-based session, which we believe will give you a creative boost and inspire you. The spiritual gym is all about giving your mind a good workout, and you will end up with a better self-esteem. I was fascinated to find out how we are never taught that esteem actually means loving oneself. The more you love and value yourself, the more confident you are, and urge to prove yourself is no longer coming from insecurity. Before we begin, some housekeeping. Uh, it would be good if you can have a notepad and a pen handy because this is going to be a very interactive session. Kindly keep your profile on mute as usual. And if you want to say something, please use the chat window and we can take it from there. And if we encounter any technical issue, please come back in using the same link which we provided you early. And I think with that, I'll hand you over to Kalyani.
Great. Thank you very much, Sachin. Very warm welcome to everyone in our ninth session. Can you go to the next slide, please, Sachin? All right. This session is called the Spiritual Gym. And I think that the name of the session has raised curiosity. And if you've seen our promotional videos, maybe you're quite interested in finding out what's exactly happening in this session. Based on the popular demand of all the participants, and we collected feedback which was really, really valuable to us in designing this session. We found out that you value interaction and you really want to do some activity-based work. So we've designed this keeping it specifically in mind about the interaction. Do you think going to the gym has benefits, not just physical benefits, but benefits when you work out with other people and you look at them, and that kind of gives you the edge or the motivation to really take it to the next level, push yourself a little bit more. And that's the beauty of doing the spiritual gym as a group as well. And Jayanti will talk through that a bit more, of working together with others. You'll find out more as we go on. And we've got 3 circuits. So you'll see that there's a specific order to those circuits as well, and it'll all unfold in the end. And I really hope you'll get value out of this session, and you'll have some really interesting things to journal, and hopefully keep up your journaling after this session. So Jayanti will give you an overview of the activities. If we can go to the next slide.
Hello, everyone. It's so nice to see everyone again. And apologize for my voice today, but I'm getting better and better. So I'm really excited because from your feedback, we found out that you really enjoyed interacting and doing some activities with us. So that's why we decided to have this session where we'll come together as a group and we'll do some activities that will really work out our minds and our emotional health. So we've got 3 activities together today. They're like circuit rounds that we're going to do together. And so the first activity is about eliminating negativity, which Kalani is going to conduct. So first of all, we need to be in this space where we eliminate our negative thoughts.
She's told me today.
So that's the first thing. And the second thing is that we're going to do an activity about goal setting. So we're going to have a vision for our future. And the third activity, which is going to be conducted by Naina, is going to be something to do with our self-esteem. So our self-esteem is a really valuable tool which helps us to thrive and, then again, fulfill all these goals. And so all of these things are really interconnected with each other. I would highly recommend for you to have a pen and paper handy if you haven't at this point of time, because we'll be doing some journaling. I hope that you will interact with us a lot in the chat window. And if you want to talk to us, then you can just raise your hand and then we'll give you an opportunity to talk and interact with us in this session. And then, so yeah, let's get started with the activities. So Kalani, if you want to start with the first activity.
Yes, thank you, Jayanti. Sachin, can we have the next slide, please? Okay. Before I start the activity, I just wanted to let you all know, as Jayanti mentioned, it's really valuable that you interact and type your thoughts in the chat box. But if for some reason you're not comfortable and you want to keep your identity, not disclose your identity, then you can send a private message to Jayanti or myself, and we can share it anonymously. But it'll be really useful if you can share your thoughts and share some of the challenges, and you'll find out more as I take you through this task. So eliminating negativity sounds fairly simple, more difficult to do. As simple as it sounds, it's quite difficult to do actually. but with a bit of practice, I think we can all get one step better, one step at a time, we can get better. Um, it's said that on an average, human brain has 70,000 thoughts a day, and there's some research to show that 90% of those thoughts are actually the same thoughts as you thought yesterday and the day before and the month before and probably even a few months before. So what does that even mean? That means that the repeated thoughts that you have, they are constantly getting embedded into your subconscious, which are then converting into your beliefs, which is driving your behavior, and the behavior is resulting in an action. So, you say if you keep doing the same thing, you'll get the same result. So to change the result, we got to go back a few steps to change the actions, but it all boils down to changing your thoughts. So we have this habit of, the 70,000 thoughts, a lot of them, significant amount of them, are actually negative thoughts. Let me give you an example of some of the thoughts that, on a typical day you will be thinking. uh, in today's times, if someone's looking for a better opportunity at work or looking for a better role, some of the things that you might think, oh, this role looks good, maybe I should apply. But you say the mind plays the devil's advocate, and then it will say, oh, in today's times it's so hard, there's hardly any jobs, the economy is so down, it's never possible for me to get that job at that position and the desired salary that I want. So can you see what happens with that one word, never possible? And you have these thoughts on a repeated basis. So the words like never and not, on a repetition, they have this effect of eliminating any possibility. And as soon as you think that there's no possibility, what are the chances that you will attempt that? Very low, I think. And this is not a preaching point of view. I have very similar thoughts. And I'll admit that I do have a lot of negative thoughts. It's a work in progress. But the first step, I believe, as Jayanti said, you have to become aware of those thoughts. So if I just reframe that thought about it is never possible for me to get that job in the desired company at the desired salary I want, just and you don't have to pretend that the problem doesn't exist and just completely turn this thought around saying, oh yeah, I'm amazing, I'm going to land that job. Your mind's never going to believe that. Yeah. So even if we reframed it by saying, it seems difficult for me to land that job at company X at the desired salary, particular role that I'm after. Even if you shift those words a little bit, what happens? A possibility starts emerging. When the possibility emerges, it feeds the hope within you. And when there is hope, you take action. It's simple as that. Your mind is constantly working out the risks. What happens if I do this? What happens if I do that? If the risk seems too high for failure, your mind says, forget about it. I don't want to do it. But when the possibility emerges and there's hope, you think, there's a chance. Maybe I should do something. I should pursue that. So I invite you now to share some of these thoughts. And even if if you just rewind through your day today that you've been having, you'll be able to pick up those negative thoughts that you might be having. So I encourage you to type them in the chat box or private message us if you want to be undisclosed. Let us hear what those thoughts are, because we are going to do a reframing exercise.
Okay, I can see that people are sharing some of their thoughts.
Great.
Silly question. Where is the chat window where I can type in?
Oh, it's at the bottom?
Yeah.
Till then, Kalyani, maybe you can see some of the thoughts that people are sharing. I will never make it to finish my PhD in time frame. I'm not good enough. I don't earn enough. Very common thoughts. I can share one of my own. A common negative thought that I've had is that because I'm single, I feel like there's not enough men out there. There's not enough attractive men out there.
Thanks, Jayanti, for sharing. So I encourage you to share. I'll give you another minute or so to share, and I can give you some examples of my own thinking as well. Every time I think, oh, I've got so many unfinished ventures, or I shouldn't invest more money in learning anything else because I'm so bad at completing things, bringing things to a fruition point. So that's something that nags me, and probably that puts me at a risk of leaving more things incomplete. It's not actually helping me in any way. So thank you everyone for sharing. Now what I want you to do, and if you want to write it in your journal, more than happy, you can write your own negative thoughts in the journal that you have. I want you to now pick up one of these thoughts and reframe them similar to the example I told you earlier about. And please type that in the chat box as well. And sometimes, believe me, it's easier to tackle someone else's statement. There's not as much pressure on you.
So for me, I would reframe that thought saying that I would then recollect probably some instances of some men that I found interesting, and maybe I would say that some men are interesting, or that love is available to me.
That's great, Jayanti. And Margot, thank you for sharing. I cannot handle everything I have to do. I think, it's probably comforting to know that almost everyone thinks like that. It's not a solution, but almost everyone is too critical of themselves. So even if you reframe that, if you get rid of the word cannot, I am doing my best to handle everything that I'm currently working on. I am doing one thing a week to improve my productivity. Even if you reframed it like that, and not just reframe it in your head, I think it's far more powerful if you reflect on your day, think of some of the negative thoughts, even one thought, and reframe that before you go to bed. You'll be surprised how your brain is absorbing this reframed information. Does anyone else like to share what they thought, or would anyone else like to share the reframe statements?
Maybe we can help reframe some of the statements, like instead of thinking of the word overwhelm or busy, we can replace it with I'm occupied, I'm invested.
Yeah, Gayatri, I am enough. And sometimes it's harder to believe that. You say it and you think, oh, I'm faking it. But sometimes fake it till you make it. Especially the I am enough. I am a big fan of that. And as soon as you, even if you think, oh, I am enough, is that a statement that's even true? You can just reflect on today, what happened during my day that made me realize that I am enough. When you ask that question, you automatically find the evidence. Your mind goes crazy looking for evidence. That's how the mind works. So instead of saying, oh, I'm bad at this, or I don't have enough time, or I'm procrastinating, you can think back today, what was one thing that I managed well? What was one thing that I finished in time? Your mind will start looking for it. Jayanti, do you want to tackle some of the? I
Yeah.
like this ones. I do
I
not
do
like
not
to
like
go
work from
home.
home. I do not like work from anywhere.
Yeah, I like that.
Yes,
Nandan,
I
that's
love
really
that.
good. I do not like work from home. I'm eventually adapting myself to work from home culture. Great. I love that. Anyone else would like to share anything? You can raise your hand if you would like to speak.
There are some other statements that maybe we can think about reframing also. Um, like I don't have a clear vision and goal. I think the visions and goals and not liking work from anywhere can be handled in the next activity also.
Yeah.
Um, but I think I'm not doing enough or I'm not enough is also, I think it's on similar lines.
Yeah. And not feeling good enough, not thinking that you're earning enough, you got to just turn it on its head and ask the question, today what did I do that made more money flow in my life? Or today what did I do that made me feel good about myself? The more you ask those questions, the evidence really starts to come. And if you document that evidence and you go back and reread your journal from a few days ago, as soon as there's evidence, your mind starts believing and saying, oh yeah, it did happen, so you are good enough. And then the I am good enough starts becoming more and more realistic to believe in. Yeah, I love that, Margot. I'm refocusing myself to gradually increase my productivity and successfully complete tasks in my PhD, and therefore my PhD, one thing at a time. That's it. That's the perfect reframing statement. All right. So I think most of you probably understand the concept of it. If we move on to the next slide, I'll just sum it up once again. So what I encourage you to do is, in your journal, write down, just before you go to bed maybe, write down currently what are some of the things that you're finding difficult to achieve. Now you can reframe these into affirmative statements. So if you think that I'm procrastinating too much, or I'm not doing anything worthy enough, you can just reframe that statement by going, today what did I do that made me feel really good about myself? Today what did I do that helped someone else? Or how did I feel like, in a moment, anything. I smiled at someone, I helped someone, I smiled at a stranger, I kept the lift door open for someone. Simple. But the emotion can give you the same sense of empowerment, same sense of value, and therefore you cannot dismiss these small things. So is there any questions, or would anyone like to share anything else before we move on to the next activity?
Naina, do you have some example you want to share about a statement that you reframed? I think you may have some good ones.
I have something, if I can speak.
Yes.
My husband is wanting me not to say that. Because it looks something emotional or maybe serious, but it is a bothersome thing for me. So why deny that there is something which is bothering you and which is a statement which I would like to convert into affirmation. So the statement is, the bothersome thing which bothersome thought which occurs is that what if I die before my children are settled, or I have not made all arrangements which are required. So okay, this is a bothersome concern, and which occurs every now and then. So, and especially during this COVID time and these kind of circumstances, I feel it is but natural that it occurs. Okay, but then I have to convert it into, like, settle means what? I converted that my children are already settled. they are living on their own without me. So what is that settled? So I convert it into affirmation. My children are already settled. And the next thing is that I have to sort it out. So I can always do that. It is up to me. I can do it any day. So then this is like converting that thought into affirmation.
That's amazing. Love it.
That was, I think that was quite a deep and very profound, negative statement that had to be turned into positive. But you're right. If you think too many things, if you start thinking about the too many things that are out of your control, then you'll always be living in fear, guilt, not good enough. But you got to start focusing on the smaller things that are working, that are in your control, that you're contributing, that you're doing. And where you put your attention, energy will flow there automatically. I'm a strong believer in that. uh, Not saying that I practice it all the time, but if my mind is moving on the track of negative thinking, or you know uh, thinking guilt or fear or sadness, at least I can feel like I'm getting a bit more aware of it. So even becoming aware of your thoughts, I think it's quite a significant improvement in how you live your life.
And
So thank you everyone for participating in that.
like calling it gym because you have to do it every day. So I cannot do it only one time. I will have to every day convert this thought into a affirmative thought.
Yes, thank you for saying that, because just like exercise, your mind needs the exercise, and I think we put that off far too much, and we don't really realize how much value it has. So thank you for saying that. Jayanti, would you like to progress with the second activity?
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much. That was very insightful. And thanks, Nana, for sharing that you want, you shared your negative thought and you converted into positive thoughts. I'm very happy about that. Um, so let's start with the second activity now. So the second activity is about designing a goal. So what's the problem with goals? All right, I'm sure all of us have lots of goals. Most of the goals, though, are probably something along the lines of getting a promotion, making more money, finishing a PhD, or something to do with education, society, something that's been um, imbibed into us through culture, not something that we have inherently created for ourselves. So, what I want all of us to do today is to design a goal that we have created for ourselves, not one that's pushed on us through culture or society. We may think that it's our own goal, but at some deeper level, it is something that's been pushed on us through cultural norms. So, we're going to make three lists. So if you got a piece of paper, you can make like 3 columns, or you can just start typing it in the chat window if you'd like to do that. So the first list that we're going to make is a list of things that you are deeply passionate about or you really, really care about. For example, you may care about the environment. You may care a lot about puppies. You may care a lot about orphan children. You may care a lot about um, poverty. So, what is it that you may care a lot about your country? What is something that you really care about or something that you're really passionate about? So, make a list of these things. And if you want, you can like start typing them in the chat window if you have some things in mind that come up.
Just give you a minute to do that.
Helping people. Ideally, it should be a longish list with at least 6 or 7 things. Video games, okay. Good mental health, adding value to someone's life, personal growth, self-development, environment, artistic, creative processes, magic, harmony, balance. That's a great list. Yeah. Okay, so we've got some um, lists coming up. Care about others, helping others, the environment. Yeah, those are great causes. So, for example, um, it could be a cause or it could be a thing, anything that you care about, your family. So if you have a longish list by now, that's fine. Let's move on to the next list. So the next list is a list of things that you are deeply curious about. So curiosity is a big driver for passion and flow. So when you're in the flow and you're really into something, you're really doing something, curiosity is one thing that really drives it. So if you're inherently curious about it, nobody's going to need to push you to do it because you already want to know more about it. So what are you curious about? For example, it could be consciousness and how the mind works, or you could be curious about science, anything in science. You could be curious about space travel. You could be curious about, um, I don't know, biological processes, mind and physical connection, mind body connection. That's amazing. Yeah. Astrology, human psychology, universal laws, something that you don't know. It could be history, the role of play in our life, psychology, spirituality. Yeah, about your parents, having dream job. So again, having a dream job is I kind of still feel like it's a dream that's come from somewhere else. But that's fine if it's in your list. Astrology, numerology, yeah, these are things that you could definitely be curious about. Yeah, that's great. So basically, you need to have a list of things that you want to know more about, that you really question all the time, or you think about a lot. So that's your curious list. So you have a care or passion list, you have a curious list. And the third list is your inherent skills, or as I would call them, gifts. Somebody is when they're a child, they start singing, and everyone's like, oh, it's a gift. So what's your gift? And if you, some people cannot think very highly of themselves very easily, so you may not be able to come up with a gift immediately, and you may not be able to think something like that right away. But if you can't do that, think about last time somebody complimented you, for example. Did they compliment you when you were singing in the bathroom and they were like, hey, you have a beautiful voice, or a piece of artwork that you did, or you said something really beautiful and they said, oh, you really use such beautiful language, your voice, organization, meticulousness. That's nice. It could be photography, writing, listening. Listening is a great skill to have, definitely. Detail oriented, imaginative, those are great skills. Yeah. Empathetic, empathy is a wonderful skill to have. Memory is a great skill. I'm so glad you think you have a good memory. That's a great belief to have. Empathetic, yes. Empathy is a great skill. So if we have a long list of skills, um, I mean, at least 6 or 7 skills that you can think about. Just generally things that you enjoy doing and you think that you are good at it. And even if you don't think you're good at it, and if people have told you you're good at it, list them down. Good communicator. Yes, that's really nice. It's so important. So once you have a list of these things, helping, energetic, that's amazing. So ideally, you should have a list of 6 or 7 things at least. And I'll give you a minute or two to like put all your lists together. Driven. Yeah, that's great. While people are writing, maybe I can ask Kalyani or Naina to share what they think their skills are and what they're
Yeah,
curious.
sure. I've done this exercise in the past, and every time you do it, there's more. It unravels more and more. Um, so there's a long list, as you said, Jayanti. So you'll be pleased to see my list. Um,
Oh,
so just one example. So something that I'm passionate about. I had something that I care about: fashion, dressing up well. Uh, Not fashion as in walking the ramp, but fashion as in dressing up well, coming up with good outfit, coordination of good outfits. What I'm curious about, recycling. Uh, Fashion is one of the biggest waste. People use clothes and throw them away. Very, you know, the the amount of fashion waste or the clothing waste is quite shocking. So I think about recycling often. I don't know enough though, but I'm curious. And a gift probably is that I'm creative. So if I try to match up these three, um, because I care about passion, and if I want to learn more about recycling, um, and in fact, I saw this. I don't know if it was War on Waste or one of the things where they, shows about recycling, where they showed this girl who really cared about fashion as well. She collected a lot of clothing shreds. She recycled them to embed them into bricks. So she actually made bricks, which are pretty tough bricks. So that's her creativity, because she's a designer. She cares about fashion, so she went around collecting all these clothing shreds and she converted them into bricks. So you actually build your house out of thrown away clothes. How good is that?
so cool. I love that. So, like Kalyani did, so you've got these 3 lists now ready. And what I want you to do is just like what Kalyani did right now, is to link them up, see what overlaps come through, and then you design a goal based on that. So, just like Kalyani, I'll give you another example of what might come up for somebody. Is, for example, they may say that they care a lot about the environment, and they went to a really beautiful place somewhere and they saw that it was polluted. And they wish that this beautiful place remained beautiful. So they really care about the environment, they care about climate change, they're really curious about what other cultures are, what other how other people live in places which are different from where they typically grew up. So a different geographical place. They're curious about the world and different cultures. So curiosity wise, they're curious about traveling, and their inherent skill may be writing. They may be a really good writer. So where these three would overlap is they may be able to start a travel blog. Excuse me. So by travel blog, I don't mean to say that if they're in a full-time banking job, I'm not asking you to quit your banking job and start doing a travel blog right away. But what I'm saying is, can you then take out some time. You must be having a lot of material already from your previous travels. You must be having some content ready. And if you're good at writing, you may be able to write quickly. So think about how much time you can devote to this activity. And the purpose of doing this is to have some autonomous time. So like somebody said in the chat that they don't like working from anywhere. And that's because most of the time the jobs that we do are not designed on what we really want to do. So that's why it's really important to design a goal of our own, which allows us to have this time without a boss sitting on our head or somebody telling us what to do. And it can be just you decide how much time you want to give to this thing. It could be an hour a week, it could be an hour a day. So it's totally up to you what you want to do and how much time you want to devote to that. But it is really important that you devote some time at least to this thing that you have created, the goal that you have designed for yourself. So first of all, if there's anybody else who has come up with something like what Kalyani just said, or the travel blogging, that example that I gave, so just have a think about it and design a goal around this. I think I've got an example from Gayatri already. It says, I feel like financial planning, counseling could be a better career. Passion of helping others, empathy suits her curiosity about how money works. So I do know Gayatri is curious about finance. She likes finance and all those things and utilizes her gift of organization. That's cool. So you got something out of it. Naira, do you want to share an example also?
Yeah, I last time when you did this exercise, I had written down so many things about what I care about. I care about empowering men. Now enough of empowering women, empowering men. So I thought that I am also curious about why people behave the way they do. So human behavior is a lot of stuff to be curious about. And then I also thought that I was told that I'm very good at listening and empathy also. So I thought that maybe that I can enter into counseling. And after Jayanti did this exercise with me, I have devoted 4 hours every week for counseling. And it really works well because it is all three combined together. I understand why people behave the way they do. Then I also have that most of them are men, people who are coming for counseling also. So far, I have found that they are youth. So it's very, it's combining everything in that Venn diagram you have shown us. So that common thing which combines all three, it really works well. And I feel very happy about it.
Thanks a lot for sharing that. And I'm so glad that people have come up with some examples of their own. I think for me, one example would be mental health is something that I really care about, because therapy is something that changed my life for me. So I definitely think like a cause that I really care about is mental health. I'm really curious about consciousness and how the mind works. And I think one of my gifts is speaking. So, really putting all of this together, I'm really happy to be in this space conducting this webinar. So, I think a lot of us can actually start thinking along those lines and designing our own goals just so that we give some time very purposefully to be in the flow. So, flow is a concept which has been described for many years, but the basic idea behind this is that um, it's like you're doing something that you really want to do, and it's just a natural state where you're that's the thing that gives us our peak performance. So that's this is just an exercise that I designed, and I think it's so valuable for us to come up with our own goals. So thank you everyone for participating, and if you've come up with something else and you want to reach out and talk to us about it, you can always write to us later. So now over to you, Naina, to conduct the third activity.
Yeah, hello everybody. I'm very happy to interact with all of you at the spiritual gym. And it's a very good idea that, after having gone through some contents, you practice it through this gym where you are all together and then practicing with each other. Before we start the activity, that's self-esteem. Just to mention something in briefly about self-esteem, what it is. So my self-esteem is the opinion about myself, my opinion about myself, my feelings about my how much worth I am, and my abilities, my beliefs and principles, and my trust in myself. Very simply, if I put it, like how much I like myself. My self-esteem is how much I like myself. So undoubtedly, it is found in research that this is the single most factor which contributes to our success, our achievements, and even our happiness. So what self-image I hold of myself is the single most factor which contributes in our life. So typically a person with high self-esteem would look like a person who is uh, easily able to make choices, take independent decisions. Even if the person commits some mistakes, the person is able to take the mistakes in stride and move on. And generally, this person on a daily basis is motivated to do various activities. This is a sign, behavioral manifestation of a person with higher self-esteem. And as opposite that, you will find people who are with so low self-esteem will get stuck into their mistakes and failures, and then recurrently thinking about that again and again, and they find it very difficult to move on with that, and they have a low opinion about themselves. Every time they compare with others and find themselves on a lower step somewhere in any way. So, but the good news about this is that with conscious efforts, we can always enhance our self-esteem. That's a very good news, because it is not something which is written hard on stone and then this is my self-esteem because I am brought up this way since my childhood. But with conscious efforts, we can definitely enhance our self-esteem. Now, we will go into the activity. For that, I would request everybody to close eyes for a minute. Just close your eyes for a minute and just think to yourself that now you have got a magic wand in your hand. This magic wand will work wonders for you, and it allows you to change three things about you. With this wand, even if it is looking impossible, this is a magic wand. So you can change three things about yourself. It may be some things in your personality, it may be something about your circumstances, it may be something about your concerns. So just think about it, that three things which are very important to you, and you want to make a change in those things. Now, gently open your eyes, and whatever thoughts have occurred to you spontaneously, can you put down those three things on paper? And if you can share it in the chat window, even privately with Jayanti, if suppose we wanted to, for the sake of discussion, we can take it up, because it will be directly applicable to us. And maybe that one thing somebody has written may be useful to many others. So if you can just share it in the chat window with Jayanti. Yes, I can see something in the chat window. That I want to change about myself is that not letting other people, whatever they say, impact me. That's my desire. That's how I want to change. So probably I take it that now the current situation is that I get impacted very easily by what other people say. If this is my statement, okay, this is the condition which I want to change. Now, when I say this, under this statement, there is a belief. So I will have to go to my deeper belief when I say this statement. Now, when I say that I do not want to get impacted by what other people say, what is the underlying belief is that under this, the belief is that what other people say about myself is true. What other people say about myself is true. Now, I will have to, if I have to change this belief, I will have to challenge that belief by asking questions. And the question is, and then answer is like, all the time, what other people say about me is true in every sense. And underline that all the time and every sense. Now, is it true? If I ask myself, is it true all the time and in every sense? If the answer is no, then I can go to specific, like when they say if it is not all the time, I say it is sometimes. Sometimes some people, is it true about all the people? Then I have to answer, the answer may be that, okay, no, it is not so. Sometimes some people, what they say about me is impacting me. So then I can go to, from this general statement, I can go to the specific, and then when I go to the specific, I can again see like when does it happen more, with whom it happens more, then I can take specific action towards it. If it is a generalized statement and if it is a recurring thought, then probably I don't want to do anything about it because I think it is impossible. I can't do anything about it. But when I am going below that statement to the belief, then I can challenge that belief. For example, there is one more example coming up here is, uh,
Can I share one which I got in the private chat, which I think is very relevant and good? Because what you said about confidence is something that you have a belief, but what if it is something more external that's not in our hands? For example, I got this situation of somebody shared with me about their visa status. So they
okay.
would like to use the magic wand to change their visa status so that they feel more secure about landing a job.
Yeah. So this is a thing which probably we see as, last time, if you have attended the webinar, last webinar, we were given clues about, two tools were given to us. One is challenging your belief, that is the ABCD model. And the other was circle of influence and circle of concern. So my concern is, my visa status is my concern. Okay. And then I feel that it is outside my influence area. I cannot do anything about it. Okay. So now, if suppose my circle of concern gets bigger and bigger, my circle of influence becomes smaller and smaller. And how it happens? It is through the self-talk. When I talk to myself about my visa, oh, why it is happening to me, why other people are getting it sooner than I have got it, then why so many difficulties for my visa only, then what is wrong, and all this self-talk is again reducing my circle of influence. But if I try consciously and change my self-talk, I let me find out more from people who have got their visa. uh, Let me find out from people who had these similar difficulties. Let me talk to somebody who knows about it more. Then what happens that I am enhancing my circle of influence. And when I enhance my circle of influence, if you can show it in the slide, Kalyani.
Yeah, it's on.
Yeah, if you can see in the slide that, when typically when I change my circle of influence, automatically the circle of concern reduces. But when I am having the self-talk of concern, then my circle of influence is shrinking. So when it is up to me to change the self-talk, even if it looks like difficult, like for example, the affirmation sentence we said, from it is not possible to when we say that it is difficult, then possibilities emerge. It is difficult, but it can be done. So then when I bring things to my circle of influence through my self-talk, then I am able to convert it into some actionable steps. That is how, so on a regular basis, what I can do is, like Kalyani said, we have 70,000 thoughts coming in a day, or those thoughts are probably recurring over a week or a month or few months. So then if I have a journal, or if I have a habit of writing down, I can every day at the end of the day write down like what all things were I was putting into more of area of concern, and how I can change it through, can I have a different self-talk? Deliberately, consciously, I can have a self-talk which probably enhances my circle of influence and thereby reduces the circle of concern. Yes, Jayanti, if you want to share something.
No, I thought it was really good, and it comes back to the whole eliminating the negative belief thing also by changing your self-talk. So it all comes together, I think.
I would like to give one example of one person wherein the person was wanting to change height. Now, you see, this is totally beyond your circle of influence. Even if you try in your teenage, maybe few centimeters, you can do something and then your height may change. But it's a given thing, it's genetically given thing, and you cannot. So the person was very much conscious about height and was always talking to her father. She said that, okay, I am so much, and I am a short person, then how can I influence other people? And then what will happen? I'm always seen as, in the background, and nobody notices me, kind of thing. Then her father told her that you can do something where a person with 6 feet height, she was barely 5 feet, a person with 6 feet height goes down to you in respect. So, and then she was also asked to look around and see that whether people with the appropriate height or so-called appropriate height, were they all successful? Were they all happy? Were they all achieving whatever they wanted to? And she got a negative answer to that. She had seen many short people doing that over the people who had good height. Now, this person, I can tell you, this is a live example. She then eventually becomes the dean of a public hospital, and then becomes a vice chancellor of a university in India. If you're curious to know about her name, she is Dr. Snehalata Deshmukh. She's barely 5 feet, but then she became the dean of Sion Hospital, and then eventually became the vice chancellor of SNDT University. So this is like how even impossible looking things which we put in the box of circle of concern can be brought into circle of influence. Height is not important. How I look at my attitude towards my height is more important than actual height. So I believe that it's our conscious efforts that we can bring many things into our circle of influence just by changing our self-talk. And this kind of gym, these spiritual gym activities, I think will give each other that motivation to do, bring things in circle of influence.
Thank you very much for that. I think it was very valuable, and I love the story about the magic one person wanting to change her height. I think I might have had similar thoughts sometime in my life as well.
I've definitely had those thoughts in my life. Tried to wear uncomfortable heels, but I don't think it works that way.
Can we go to the next slide? So I think Naina's already told us about challenging the beliefs and circle of influence. I think the circle of influence is the psychological concept quite interested me, and I like the example because it kind of establishes the point, makes the point. So if anyone would like to raise any questions or would like to share anything before we go into the meditation, please feel free to type in the chat box. I'll give you a few seconds. Otherwise, we'll move on to the meditation. Okay, shall we begin the meditation then? So you can see that there was a specific reason for the order of the activities. First, becoming more receptive by removing the clouds of negative thoughts. And once you've got the clear sky, then everything's bright, and then you can focus on your goals and then build your self-esteem. That eventually is such an important tool in achieving those goals, and the goals that you have designed for yourself, not the goals that society imposes on us and makes us pressured to achieve, but the goals that flow from within are truly that give you joy. So to absorb all this information, it's a great idea to do a short meditation. It's going to be a self-esteem meditation. I'm going to play a track. So if you can hear it, that's fine. If you can't, still fine. I think as long as you can hear my voice. Okay. So please find a comfortable sitting position. And close your eyes. Take a nice deep breath. I'm now going to guide you through a 10 to 1 countdown. With each descending number, you're going to feel more and more relaxed. Take another deep breath. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm now going to point to different parts of your body, and you will relax them progressively as I bring your attention to these parts of your body, starting with your scalp, the skin covering your head. Relax your scalp. Relax your forehead. Feel your eyebrows becoming smooth. Take a deep breath. Feel your tongue and jaw relaxing. Now, relax your throat. Relax your neck and shoulders. Relax your arms, hands, and fingers. Take a deep breath. Let your chest relax completely. Feel a feeling of relaxation going down from your neck to your tailbone. Your spine is now relaxed. Relax your abdomen. Your pelvic area, your thighs, knees, calves, and feet. Now, in this relaxed state, I'm going to ask you to visualize walking gradually towards a full-length mirror. You can clearly see your reflection from head to toe in this mirror. Look at yourself. Look deep in your own eyes. Visualize your appearance, your hair, the color of your skin, profile of your body. Make a deep connection with your reflection by looking into the eyes. Now, bring to mind a moment of recent achievement in your life. It could be work related, personal achievement, anything that made you feel really fulfilled, accomplished. And when you bring back this memory, bring back the exact emotion you felt, the joy you felt when you had this achievement or success. Vividly remember the feeling of accomplishment, the feeling of knowing you're worthy, you're good enough. And when you get the feeling just right, say to yourself, look deeply into your own eyes and say to yourself, I am good enough. I am worthy of achieving and realizing my goals. I deserve the best. I have the confidence. I am getting better each day. Take a deep breath and feel the light feeling in your mind and body. Now, slowly walk away from the mirror and bring your awareness back into your body wherever you are sitting. Bring the awareness back in your fingers and toes. Become aware of the skin, the clothing coming in contact with your skin. I'm now slowly going to count from 1 to 5. And at the count of 5, open your eyes, feeling confident, deserving, worthy of living the life you truly desire. 1, 2, 3. At the count of 5, you'll slowly open your eyes. 4, 5, eyes open, wide awake, feeling wonderful. I hope you all like that meditation and you're able to connect to yourself within. Sometimes it does feel awkward to look into your own eyes. So if you want to share how that made you feel, and if it boosted your self-esteem or confidence in any way, I would love to hear your feedback. Or if you'd like to share anything. That's great to hear the feedback. It was a good experience. Felt calm and at peace. Feels positive. That's great. So that's wonderful. And let's move on to the next slide, which is going to be the summary of our session. So I hope that the session has been valuable, and I'll ask Jayanti to sum up the session for you.
Thanks, Kalyani. It was such a great meditation. I think self esteem is something that everyone struggles with, Personally, I've struggled with it for a long time, but I think it is so important, and it's every day. It's almost like daily work, right? To uplift your self-esteem and make sure that you feel good about yourself. And I think it's the basis of also being good to other people and also doing our best in the world. So thank you so much for that. Um, let's move on to the summary. Can we have the next slide? Okay.
Oh, something wrong with the slides.
That's okay. Maybe I'll just start saying it until then.
Yeah. Just do
Oh,
it.
there it is. Okay, perfect. The so it was a really good session, and I think everything comes together very well because first we had to do the eliminating negativity exercise, which is so important because, like you said, we have so many thoughts in a day, 70,000. I feel like it's probably 70 million. But we have so many thoughts, and so many of them are so negative. So it's really important that first we become aware of our thoughts, we watch them and try our best to reframe it. We may not start feeling positive immediately because if we have something that's very negative, it's hard to make it completely positive immediately, but at least we can make a start somewhere. We can start by reframing it, we can open up some possibilities. So the first thing is to eliminate our negative thoughts and look at our limiting beliefs and see how we can change our self talk. That's really important. The second thing is having a vision for our future. A lot of us feel frustrated with what we do with our works, and just the way that we conduct our life. We find ourselves complaining so much on a regular basis, and I think a lot of it is to do with the fact that our goals are set in very wrong manner. They're set in a way to meet the needs of society. They're not really what we want to do, but more from what has been imposed upon us. And I'm not saying quit your job. I'm not saying don't do what you're doing. I'm just saying that it's really important to take that time out. And after we've done this activity, I forgot to tell you, but it's important. And if not now, I would like for all of you to reflect upon how much time can you dedicate to this thing. Maybe you're really busy right now. Maybe you have a big project or you're finishing your PhD. So if that's a busy time of your life, maybe just spend an hour a week, or maybe just spend 30 minutes a week. But do spend some time on this thing that you think you really like, and that you would want to achieve in the future. So at least it'll give you that feeling of being satisfied and happy with yourself, even if you've had a crappy week, the whole week where you don't like work from anywhere. So it's not the location, right? It's the work, it's the thing that we do. So you need to have that sense of fulfillment from a goal that you've designed for yourself. And the third thing is a good self esteem. Keep a check on how you're feeling about yourself. What are you thinking about yourself? What is your self talk? And what do you feel like when you look into the mirror? And like Kalyani said, it might be awkward for some of us sometimes to look into the mirror and, you know, talk to ourselves or notice what dialogue is happening. But it's really important to be conscious about it. So be watchful. And I think all of these things tie up together very nicely, because only when you've been watchful of your negative thoughts can you start building a good self-esteem. And only when you have a good self-esteem can you actually visualize for a future limitlessly, and you can dream big and have a vision. So that's me summarizing it for you. Um,
Great. Thank you so much, Jayanti. If we move on to the next slide, I'll just quickly take you through the handy references. So during our research, we often listen to different talks or look at different Instagram accounts, and most relevant content for our particular topic. So if you are interested, you can take a picture of this slide. These are Marisa Peer Therapy. Her Instagram account is pretty good. It gives you daily reminders, and she has some really good content, and she's a good speaker. Very raw, very unfiltered, but really good to hear. And then there's mylifejournal.co, which is quite a creative account for journaling if you need some inspiration for journaling. And obviously there's a few books there, and the School of Life is really good, their website and their YouTube channel. They've got phenomenal content there. So if you want to take a picture of that slide, feel free to do that. Just leave it on for a few seconds. And then Jayanti is going to make an announcement.
Yes, before we make the announcement, I just wanted to add something quickly to the handy references. Not a reference, but something that I do, which I thought was very useful for my own self-esteem, is to think about that negative belief that we have. For example, mine is typically of inadequacy or worthlessness. So I've got written on my mirror, I am worthwhile and adequate. And Marissa Peer often says, you have to write, I am enough everywhere. There's this story that she talks about her client, who's a big celebrity, I think, is that correct? Yeah. And then she took her lipstick and she just wrote with the lipstick on her mirror, I am enough. And she said that changed everything for her. So on my mirror, I've got the words, I am worthwhile and adequate written, which I look at every day, every time I'm looking at myself in the mirror. So that might help some of you also. That's my suggestion. And now the exciting announcement that we're going to make is that we're launching a new venture that we're really, really excited about. So it's for customized guided meditation that Kalyani and I will be designing. So Kalyani, would you like to tell more about these customized guided meditations?
Yes, thank you, Jayanti, for sharing. It is really, really exciting for us. And I think just to emphasize, it's probably a product of making those three lists, I think this is definitely an outcome of that. So, in terms of passion, personal growth is also one of my passions, something I care about. I'm very curious about how the mind works, and, how underestimated it is about how much the mind can influence you, and how much, even a small amount of consciousness, mindfulness, relaxation, meditation can really add value to your life. And I think in terms of skills or gifts, I think empathy, calmness are some of my gifts. So crossing these three together has made us launch this venture. So if we move on to the next slide, we are now keen to, and we are ready to help you out by designing a customized meditation to exactly suit whatever in life that you want to achieve or whatever problem you're trying to solve. And we've already started doing this, and just wanted to give you one example. I designed a meditation, 7-minute meditation for someone with a health condition, and credit to them that they've been practicing it very regularly, 3 times a day. They reported to me that it improved their sleep quality, it reduced negative thoughts, and it gave them hope. So there's always anxiety and uncertainty when you're undergoing medical treatment, but even if 7 minutes, they do it 3 times a day, which is fantastic. So 21 minutes. I think within that time, if their mind is able to completely relax, it can do wonders to the immune system. So I'm really humbled and, very, very happy to hear that review. Jayanti also has a couple of testimonials to share.
Yeah, so it was a really wonderful experience for me to do this customized meditation. And I got some great feedback, but the common thing between the feedbacks was that because I had spoken to that person briefly and understood their problem or their situation that they were going through very nicely, and therefore I could prepare a customized meditation to suit their perfect needs. For example, the person was, I knew that they were going through something, they were anxious about something, so I could perfectly customize their meditation to make sure that they felt relaxed after the meditation. So I think that aspect is very valuable. So we'll be doing the same thing. We'll be having a brief chat with you, and then we'll be customizing and developing a meditation practice for you, which you can practice on a daily basis or a regular basis.
Yes, and if we move on to the next slide, you will see how do you reach out to us and what's the next step. So as you can see, we've got a really cool introductory price for our meditation, and they will be customized, bespoke just for your need. So if you are keen and interested in commissioning us for building a specific meditation for you, please reach out to us, and we'll share our email address. It will involve having a brief one-on-one chat with you, and we assure you that everything will be confidential. All your information is confidential, and you will receive a meditation with a soothing backing track. It will be under 10 minutes, so not too much time to be invested from your side. And we trust that it will add value and help you in whatever challenge, situation, goal, whatever it is in life that you want to, that you're pursuing. So I think that's it. That's the exciting announcement, and that concludes our session. I'll hand over to Sachin to close the session.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, Kalyani and Jayanti, and thank you everybody for joining us today. You can, as usual, this recording will be uploaded on our YouTube channel, which is Teja Discover Radiant. And you can go back and revisit, or you can share this video with others if it helps them. And do follow us on our Instagram channel, which is also Teja Discover Radiant. And if you have any feedback for next sessions, or you want to say anything, please write to us on our Gmail ID, which is teja.discover.radiant@gmail.com. So thank you everybody once again.